Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Wednesday Wisdom. These are our mini sidebars, and Sidebar, in case you don't know, is our monthly newsletter, and you can look down there to see how to sign up for that. But these weekly video snippets are designed to just give you some real quick information, tips, suggestions on all things related to estate planning or probate, the probate court process, or other legal concerns you may have. For this week, I want to talk about how often, because I get asked this a lot, how often should you update your will? So before I get into that, let me start my timer, because these are designed to be very short and quick and to the point. But let's say you last wrote your will, and the fact that you wrote your will, thank you very much. That's a great first step. So for those of you who haven't written anything yet, shame on you, get on that. But for those of you who have, let's say the last time you looked at your will or did a will was 10 years ago. And you ask, well, should I update it? Well, if nothing has changed, you don't need to update it. As long as it was executed properly, and that means, the signing was proper, you had the appropriate number of uninterested witnesses, it was the part that needed to be notarized was notarized. All of that. If that was done properly and nothing has changed, then you don't need to update it just because it feels like it's been a long time, and 10 years is a considerable amount of time. But it all just depends. So if something has changed, so let's say you had children, minor children at the time, and now they're no longer minors, you may have had a guardianship provision in your will. Well, that isn't necessary anymore. Or you may have had specific property designated for specific beneficiaries in the first draft where you don't have that property anymore, or the beneficiaries have changed. Maybe you left it to an old friend, and that friend passed away before you did. So when changes occur, then yes, you need to update your will. But if nothing has changed and everything is still valid and everything is still spelled out the way you want it, then that's fine, and it can live on. But you do have the option to change it just as often as you need to. So don't feel like it's a one and done. And I've said this before, I'm sure, because I say it a lot, but this document is not a one and done necessarily. You want to make sure you're checking on it whenever there's a major life change, whenever there's my timer, so let me wrap this up. Whenever there is a change in things or property that you own, or the type of ownership that you have. So you just want to make sure that triggers, those events would trigger in your mind that, oh, let me make sure I update that in my will to make sure that's going to be right, because the state, the probate court, is going to look at whatever the latest and greatest document is. So you can't just be thinking about it. You have to sit down and just take the time to get it done and get it updated if that's what's needed. So as always, since my time is up, I'd like to talk a little more about this, obviously, but I can't. So you got to tune in for another future Wednesday Wisdom. But for now, thanks for watching this one. And as always, we'll see you next time.